guess that's it right now, because to be fair, the best that we've had BDS play all tournament was their opening half, their attack that led them towards the 7-3 victory there on Cafe. Chalet is a good map for them. It is the neutral territory. It is the place where both teams are going to see if they can butt heads, and this, in a way, means more to Elevate.
It does mean so, indeed. Let's see how this works out. Quickly cleaned up, by the way, because we had our lovely colleague, Dev Marta.
Yeah, he wasn't just here for a bit.
Dev Marta, he wasn't just here for a gig. He just came to bring us over some supplies.
He delivered us
instead of the usual way.
Our wonderful talent manager, or one of our wonderful talent managers, because we're lucky to have multiple.
We have two now.
I know.
That's because we're so tough to manage.
We're so needy.
The King had to bring in support, reinforcements this time. But no, instead of just coming to do a gig, he just tossed a whole bunch of food at us from across the room, which I just cleaned up. You know, clean desk is going to be a clean head policy, and let's see how we are going to be able to continue that. The bands are still softly, slowly starting to flood in, and once the last one is coming through, which could be a mirror, indeed it is. It's almost like we know how this game works. I just lost my notes. We're getting underway. It is going to be BDS taking on Elevate here for yet another map, for their final map in the 6th Invitational here. And let's see how that will work out. Are they going to be able to end it with a win? Are they going to be losing this one as well? Go to a grand total of, I believe it will be 2 points. Or is it going to be Elevate that is trying to fight for that top 2 spot, which gives you that extra life, which is going to be so important in the end, because it just gives you the moment, the opportunity to push on and forward. Wine Cellar will be the very first site that BDS opt to play. It's not often a site we see because of the fact that it's just difficult to onion out on, as we call it, to create those multiple layers, to find ways to fall back. You kind of need to rely on your top floor row, which is difficult.
Onioning out. Not much to be done down here, but you're looking at what is in the pockets of Elevate. They've got enough to sort of drive themselves through. Obviously, the thing that makes this a little bit challenging is you can't really have a multifaceted approach. Excuse me.
There you go.
That was some of the supplies. I keep choking this game. Which
is impressive.
Yeah. You kind of have a multifaceted approach. I'm sorry, everybody watching. We're falling apart because of the limitations of your reach of utility. Okay, you might be able to open up trench. You might be able to open up on a west main take, but then snowmobile will generally stay closed because you need to have at least 2 angles. You need to have at least 2 ways in, and you've got to do so much work to get to that position. You go for a snowmobile take, well, you've still got to try and get that top of blue stairs to give yourself that crossfire, or at the very least, you've got to be able to have some security onto the bottom of the main stairs, the snowmobile stairs that go up to fireplace. Here, I guess we'll see which way Elevate believe they want to go for the approach, but Onigiri gets a quick opener there, all the way through onto fireplace to find Shaiko.
Very important opening as well, as the drone's coming right after. Eric's using that Twitch drone. Even the RC returns are being pulled out here every day. We'll now receive some pressure from above. The question will be how that will work out later. They're just using these Reteros right now to open up into that little side office there next to the hatch. Which might indicate that it could be a way that they want to put some pressure on, maybe even open it up, maybe even go for a drop. And his naze upside down, repelled on the window here, spots a leg. I believe that is the Vigil of Lems that quickly will rotate back out and tries to find a safe way back to the site.
That's it. It was a very early pick on the player. That's that connection in that big play space of fireplace, and that is all soft above the site itself. It really becomes a power position, and to be fair, you don't just need the room. The room itself is dangerous, but you do need control of above it. You need that angles and those vertices that Renshiro is making sure is locked under his play right now. 11 with those wiggly lines is causing a little bit of stress, but the drone actually gets dropped from above. Pulls himself back ground, sees if he can get that little connector towards the kitchen side and where dining is. Knows there's a couple of players present, but they're still trying to find people. They've got this hatch as a direct line. Are they just going to take it? Well, they're toying up the idea.
Definitely thinking about it indeed, as they are looking to push through. DCH still up on the top floor, but In the meantime, a player on the top of the fireplace is Renshiro that is holding the door, taking out a drone. It seems like they might be aware of the fact that he's still out there. DCH is definitely holding it, and as he goes off the angle, it's actually the player that rotates through. Do some damage up to Renshiro, but not quite enough to actually get the kill, but it will scare him off for now. Nay, still above the hatch, more damage being done here. Renshiro finally will be picked up, and the LMs will fall as well. Only up to BDS and Rafale right now as the smoke and the arrows are starting to come out, start chipping away some of the HP. And as he uses those smart glasses to look through the smoke, he's hoping to pick up the diffuser kill.
Said he turned them off because he realized the push wasn't coming, wants to make sure he has charge just in case it does. But look at this, they're just trying to find that last loose player. The pings come through on the side of the chassis, but they don't quite have the connection. There it is though, dropped from above. Onigiri was very aggressively watching that. The grenades all the way back through, and as I said, you don't massively split your push, but at that point, when you've killed everybody else, you may as well just take the main stairs and see what you can find. Elevate, open, with a flawless attack on Chalet.
Such a clean attack, actually. They just cleared everything out bit by bit, made sure that they had everything under control. We're about 0.3 seconds away of actually getting the plan down as well. There's actually 3 things I track. Open and kill, plant, and flawless round.
Those are the 3 things?
Those are the 3 things,
okay.
Of course, with sides and massive things as well.
Yeah,
but
I mean, those are other things. But
you know, the quick summary stats are making it. It's always funny when you have to check all 3 because there's just a very little box for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I handwrite, so...
That's true, you can just create space.
I think I'm the only one.
I think you are the only one left as well who's doing it on the analog way and the good old ways, you know?
So old. I started writing my notes the other day when I was casting with XR Troika, Ollie.
Oh, yeah?
And when he looked down before the game, he went, "Are you writing in Morse code based on, like, this...
all these dots and dashes?
All the stuff that I do based on
that's basically us who use these tables, prepare them, just create them in a different way. I mean, I get it.
Maybe he's just so tall, he's really far away. Anyway, you get a clean opener, the cleanest possible, to be honest. Onigiri finding a 4K, but to be honest, look at the positioning that they had at that point. If he wasn't going to get the kill, very likely somebody else was. The way that they were able to capitalize on that opener, great. Where they then went after that was sort of the drive home. As you said, pointed out, they knew that the pressure player was still on the top of that pillar. They had the angles round onto fireplace, so they restructured themselves. The pressure was continual, though. As soon as they got dining, they began to focus on West Main. They began to focus on Trench and that little corner round onto Red. They had the smokes, they had the Capital bolts just to force some position, but in the end, it just forced them into the player above. Onigiri was the one that locked it off. And Nay, very early, twice, BDS, and as Medics tries to find the player for a second there, it's the reveal that it's all sort of happened as a big burst around, once again, West Main, steady droning. They're going to see if they can build behind it. Just going to push themselves further up.
Honestly, I still think that it was just that resurgence from BDS as Elevate realized they have confirmed themselves for the playoffs. You know, it's a little bit of tension gone. Suddenly you can relax a little bit before they're back into their playstyle, which is what they're currently doing. I mean, they started fighting back in the previous map. They opened up strong twice so far right now. DCH is still hunting. A player above the fireplace gets spotted out, and there's an extra rotation, or at least an angle is being created. Narix opens up the big window as well. Looking to put that pressure down onto Rafale, and afterwards try and hunt down Shaiko is their main goal right now. Rafale, of course, on top of the fireplace, has the opportunity to rotate into library, and as an RC Retiro is being jumped in to try and make it explode, it's going to be a camera right there. Oh, that's unfortunate.
No!
All the way back down, needs to find a way back up. A Sapper will be opening up an extra angle.
Well, they're not going to waste time. They're instead going to pop that from range, and that Twitch drone has finally found its way back up. It's going to go for the ADS just behind the player to see if they can get the grenade out hot on Onigiri. He still has the drive and the idea of the fight onto the back line. It's BDS, and that's always that dangerous backline support player on that supply line. He's crept his way a little bit closer. He knows that there's pressure coming in. Whether he thought that break was below or above, Rafale is smoked out. They're burning through all of that. The smoke canister on the close quarter. DCH can't quite get it though. Rafale just caught on the slipway with Shaiko being able to pick a bit of revenge. There it is though. DCH pushes aggressively, gets it back, a 4-2. Renshiro on the stairs, isolated and alone, wants to move away but doesn't have the full safety as Onigiri is holding and held at bay just by BDS.
Smoke left indeed for Renshiro, just detonated it as well. 40 seconds on that clock, BDS. The backline Renshiro still somewhat before is being bullied by Twitch Drone, who goes for a tease or two, or tase or two. Renshiro Still below. Drop back a little bit. It's going to be able to pick up 1 kill, but instantly gets punished and not even finishing off. Nerix there, he's able to be picked up right now. 26 seconds on the clock. BDS digging in on a different kind of angle. They think he's still inside the pantry. Not the case. He's right behind the bar, and his Onigiri has that control. Some pre-fire, some bangs are coming through, but Sapper, at the moment he walks away, he looks away, he's going to be able to pick up that very final kill. BDS drops, and it is a second quick, good, strong, and convincing round for Elevate. I'm sure that, you know, the little amount of joy there was for the side of Dev when he said that BDS was eliminated, there's going to be even more than that right now.
It's 2-0, and if they didn't know the news during the second map, you know for a fact they know it during the third. And that's the thing, is it's always going to be the weight, and regardless of whether you want to go out on a bang or a boom or not, 1 kill over 2 rounds just hints the possibility that it's that sort of weight. And you know, they've still got the rest of the game to play here, and they might still start to kick into it, because at the end of the day, they're still a great team playing Siege, and that's that sort of underlying fact of any of the teams, regardless of your elimination status or not. It's the nature of a tournament, and it's the nature of groups, and you know, it's surprising that we're up to this late on, obviously, with the new system that was in play, the best of 3s and the daily plays across the 4 groups. Yep. That you would have the chance of it. Yep, no, sorry, 4 groups, 5 days.
I thought you might have been...
And we're on the end of the 4th of a long one. This is twice that you and I have been on the late.
Yeah, us on B-Stream guarantees remappers.
It does.
Delays as well, apparently. I came back and suddenly the delays started happening. I'm sorry.
What did you do?
I didn't. I mean, Blue pulled the cable out, you know?
Blue did do that. If anyone was on Twitter earlier and it went down, that was actually because it's Blue. And we have the photo proof of the exact. It's crazy that Bartosz, the meme machine man from our socials, was able to capture the exact
And the cameraman as well was there.
And the cameraman was there. It was just a massive coincidence. Nay, he's going to start the approach here with Zero, a great operator on Chalet. It's one that is sort of one of the 2 maps that people point to as being a great place for him, and it's because of this area for me. It's this huge space where you can sort of dig those cameras in. The further away from you are, as with anything, the tougher they are to spot and pull apart, and the more subtle things are. And yeah, they have the EMP swing, but at the time, that's not really the only drive. Alems is playing around that top pillar, seeing if he can just try and push back against it. They want to debate something there. They threw it down, picked it back up, and waited for an approach here, but it's the combination of the power of DCH over the shoulder of it.
Fall ready to go for a Nitro Cell. Doesn't know, however, that DCH already in, so if that does get exploded, Nerix is just about safe now. Going to be able to pick up the first. Now, actually, Alems picks up the first. DCH should drop. So BDS finally starting to show up here in terms of the entry game. The trade comes through. Rafale finds yet once more, and that means it's that 3-on-4 execute that Elevate will have to deal with now. Still some players out about on the roam right here, and Onigiri trying to fight yet once more. There's a good mine that gets tossed out, and will unfortunately not be able to find anybody just yet, but maybe later on in the round, drones continuously will be taken out by BDS.
Onigiri's trying to knock on the small door and just see if they can put some pressure towards that loose Mozzie that's been causing problems underneath. Rafale's already taken a body and wasted a lot of time, and obviously they've still got to ingress into the site. The fuse is cold, makes things even tougher, but at least they pull one back instantly, almost into a secondary fight. But Onigiri stays standing, and with Nerix there as the backup, it was a wise move to pull away because, well, they still got to get that diffuser, get that kit and try and get it planted inside the site. And with all the limitations they now have, no thermite, no way to breach open, it's just a throw around a very tough and tricky corner. It is going to be dangerous. It is going to be approach here, and they're just going to have to see if they can try and outgun as Nerix actually goes all the way around by the looks of it to Trophy on the far side, potentially with the diffuser.
As long as this pressure keeps coming down from the fireplace area, you might be even able to go for a bit of a surprise here, especially with Shiro going up. Eric's heading down into that trench is going to be taking at least some of the attention away from him. That's one head getting spotted out, but not picked up. Shaiko gets that kill, and it seems like BDS is going to be able to fend off the attack of Elevate this time around and put up their first offensive round on the board. Nerix will be ascending these stairs and spotting a bunch of these punch holes that have been created, or bullet holes, almost. It's going to be the Banshee that pops, that at least gives away his position with 13 seconds left. Every single gun is pointed in his direction. Shaiko is going to be picked up very first. The 3 here from BDS. Nerix tries to find 2 more, finds the head. No, he does not. BDS gets that very final kill, and BDS win that first round.
2-1. BDS are able to pull around back. They're able to stop it entirely swinging away, and let's see if they can do better than some of their previous ults, because technically, over the showdown, they've only been able to pull 1 round on their defenses so far. Granted, they only needed 1 on the last map because they had such a good attacking opening, but still, you always have that as a sort of factor. You want to see a little bit more of a test, a little bit more of a further push on this fight, and I guess that's the thing that we're sort of asking for them. We saw the play, we saw the dance and the dabble with it up the top, but still, the fact that we're on the 3rd round now, and that's where they've been able to get themselves to at least 2 kills in some cases, 1 in most, and an unfortunate 0, it shows it's a bit of a slower wake-up. Hopefully that's that fire. Lion is on the board, the combination of control there to try and stop the loose plays that we saw previously. Obviously, Rafal and Alems were both moving and manipulating the play space, with Shaiko getting aggressive and leaning in back against them to get some revenge kills.
As they push through, it is now 1 round for BDS. Elevate F2, looking to find yet another win. It will help them more than it will BDS, but of course BDS, they want to start or end this strong rather. Not had the best tournament, the worst one you could even say, in a long while, and to some extent due to the fact that they weren't complete. It was a big hit on their mental, and unfortunately they were not able to recover in time. The break day on day 3 would have been very useful to have, but the scheduling, well, that was already set, and of course not subject to change in these circumstances. It is that 1v2 currently. It is a one-on-one maps, and whoever takes Chalet here today will be walking away the victor with 2 points, whereas the other one will just have 1. Shaiko opens up, gets the very first kill. Yet once more the entry falls in favor of BDS, and Elevate are looking to try and find a way back in to make sure that they can continue to push strong.
That's it. They've been able to find an opener. They've been able to try and find this, and for one of the few times, Elevate are in a position to instantly respond. Naya's dug in underneath. Takes care of the camera to make sure he doesn't get revealed a little bit later on. Is able to go for the slow creep all the way around. It is so close to the site. There's a ping there and a single player through the soft wall. Does he want to take the bang in the fight? No. As they actually move away. Alems has got a ping of his own. And as we see it all lighting up, it's rough ideas of where the intel is, but without the solidity of knowing, nobody wants to be the one to fire first, because what that does offer is tracers. And a lot of players are very good at snapping back against those.
That's it, Ryan. That's often why you don't see players just randomly bang a wall as well if they know someone could be behind it. Might land you the kill. As Nay wanted to go for 1, actually finds it, but BDS is there to strike back instantly, leaves it in that 3v4. Still the player on top of the fireplace. Rafal playing steadily. Rinshiro there to cover, just as Shaiko. Positions where they can easily swap and rotate in between the site and, of course, that top floor. Is Nerex to wanting to hit it next, and BDS is going to be the man to kill to take the full site control. The big question will be whether or not they'll be able to. Minute 10 left on the clock. Elevate, they need to hurry.
That's it. They did the slow creep and crawl, and there's a fight over the top. They know that it's going to come out to that backline player, and there he is. BDS pops up, locked off from Shaiko above. Sapper. Suddenly all that's left here, and, well, not for very long. BDS, they find a second round. They bring themselves back level to a piece.
Shaiko's starting to warm up there. Able to pick up a beautiful amount of kills there. And that leaves us at 2-2. You just said it. Round 5 soon to be underway, and BDS, after they got sort of outran by Elevate in these first 2 rounds, is starting to fight back, is starting to show that they do not give up that easily. Right now, the wine cellar will be coming back out. Snowmobile, the site that we saw Anagiri drop a 4K on. Let's see how successful it will be this time around.
I mean, that's it. Shaiko is starting to cook over the past, well, this map and the previous one so far is, yeah, some of the only positive performances he's put in this tournament. And I think that was one of the costs as well, as obviously with how everything went down, it puts them in a bad sort of mental state. It puts them a little bit off position as well, and the players that they wanted to place themselves into when they had to play with BIOS. And having the confidence of no pressure, no sweat allows those confidence-based players to actually sort of let loose, drive themselves in, and the first 2 rounds didn't look that way. If I'm entirely honest, the first 2 rounds looked like a team that had sort of had the bad news, but it's been a week of bad news for BDS.
It's definitely not been the best week for them, no, and they know that as well. I still doubt that they know it, but, you know, part of me thinks they know. Part of me also thinks they don't know, because I don't think Bias will tell them. He still wants to get the best out of his boys, and knowing that you've been eliminated is not going to be getting that out of them. So I still think BDS is honestly thinking they are fighting for potential survival right here, to some extent. And Napew taking a lot of damage here as the Monty trying to repel up, quickly had to cancel their ID. Shaco almost picked up yet another entry here.
That is obviously the Monty on the board. A bit of the change here, and there's obviously already partially injured. That might make his life a little bit tougher when you have a C4 in the pocket, when you have obviously the sticky goo mines that might pop out and pop into his legs. Alems is going to be the first face he meets, and that's the most cautious approach really for the Monty, because that is the one that is really going to potentially be the biggest thorn in his side, literally and metaphorically.
Sure. It's of course a direct counter the Legion will be. Especially if you also have a Melusi on the board, eventually start coming through. It's not something you easily get rid of as a Monty, especially not with that shield extended. Nay, just runs through, goes on his drone. Didn't step into any of these goos as of yet, and soon will be able to use that shield to start pushing down. However, the tricky part with the Monty is that if you start walking down, it's not ideal. There's not much you see. And Shaiko just picking up a beautiful kill into Onigiri right there is again going to be able to pick up the entry frag. It seems like the beast inside of him has awoken itself. It's just able to snap from left to right and just consistently hit these headshots now.
Nao over the top with Rafal getting a kill on the bottom, leaving him more isolated. Renshiro still has this corner fight, exactly aware of where Sapper is, and does a heck of a lot of damage. The single hit kick of that DMR leaves its mark, that's for sure, and that's going to mean things are a little bit awkward for a man who is far from silent. Has the extension, the extra player is on one side. Hey, I'm Rafal. Pops into a corner, gets the knife, and takes care of business. Nerix is on the far side of literally anyone at this point. Sapper's still locked out of a door that, well, he was there last time, and with less than a minute on the board, he's still got to try and find his way inside the building to plant the site nobody has even been close to.
No, for sure. It is in that basement, it is in the snowmobile, but every single member on BDS seems to be off-site here, and Sapper realizes that he decided to quickly check. Is it able to breach? No, okay. Guess we'll just quickly go for a repositioning here. Eric's now trying to push through, trying to figure out where the exact push will be coming from. Takes a small amount of damage. Just playing with a DMR, of course, just needs a hit or two to secure the kill. BDS doesn't have to peek. It's 20 seconds left on the clock. They know where one of the attackers is. The second one has just been taken out as the diffuser dropped as well. So Nerix now in that 1v5 situation. It's a flawless round for BDS. And they lock it off. Make sure that they get another defensive round win. Looking to hunt down for that 4-2.
Well, there it is, another flawless, the second of the game, but this time the first of BDS's. They've got at response, they've got themselves put back into the control of this, and it seems like they have confidence in their aiming. The pace of Shaiko being able to swing to that, the positioning to set themselves up for it and winning their ones, it is an unfortunate thing that hasn't quite been able to happen across any of their games this tournament. They might still be able to get themselves set up for the 4-2 split here, as Kitchen is where we're going to end up. The attack here from Elevate, I don't think they need time to sort of talk about it. They don't think that there's anything too wrong at this. They're going to see if they can pull it even, to be fair. If it's thrown out the window and they find themselves fighting on their defense, well, they're confident with that as well, because I guess it becomes that conversation of, are we going to get the BDS attack that we had on Club, or are we going to get the BDS attack that we had on Cafe?
It's an important one. Don't know. It's going to be interesting to see which one it will be in the end. Of course, one of them was completely flawless. The other one was a bit more flawed.
Almost entirely flawed.
Yeah, almost. Not quite. There was some good things. Either way, it is round 6. This is the last round of the half. Elevate. Are they going to be able to pull us back even after they had a great start to the map? Great start to this game. BDS, however, they found their flame. Shaco, for example, able to consistently hit these heads, getting the opening 2 rounds in a row also helps quite a lot. And the early openings that Elevate was able to find in the very first 2 rounds have stopped happening as well. The members of BDS are no longer exposing themselves to windows to the outside where the DMR can just make quick work of your head. This time around, they need to enter the building before the first gunfight takes place.
They have themselves slowly approaching library on the far side. Lems is trying to lean back into the fight itself. Rafal is playing that cornerstone position that previously Brede has been sort of mantled in when the site obviously was down there. Supply becomes a little bit of a back and forth, and when Rafal's been there, he's usually been a little bit more out in the open, underneath the double window instead of tucked into the cornerstone of supply. Here he is, going back towards it. I was about to say on the move out to his usual positions, but he's kind of happy to sit and wait underneath this big double window. There it is, the first. Brede across the side, across the face and the bow, blows it off and blows the diffuser right out the hands of the approaching player. Nade wants to see if he can swing around on the back, but has otherwise slipped through, goes for the catch and gets it. Rafal goes down. Instantly tries to find the pickup on the trade, but suddenly it's exploding. Lems with one apiece to keep the balance into their favor. One more, DCH. He steps up and steps Lems down.
Trades continue to happen here. DCH, however, is very close to a Frostman. Might not realize that if he ascends these stairs, he might be caught off by it. But as it's not going to be the actual objective, we possibly see Elevate going on here with a very horizontal approach. It's a 3-on-3. They need to breach, but they can't because their heart breacher is dead. So there's just a singular door they can start to try and push through with some anchor holes in it. So what do? You throw the flashbangs through, you try and use the grenades where you can to get rid of these shields and potentially the players. And after that, the rotate comes through. It's Nade that walks up, but the Frostman has been taken care of, so he will not be picked up as a result. But with 55 seconds left on the clock, it's actually Nerix that will go for a trophy push instead. Seems like two of them will at least try to continue to at least push through that main door as Nerix is looking to, well, make a difference there. I'm not quite sure if there's a Frostmat underneath the trophy window. That could spell disaster. Nope, but there is an alibi, which he will have to take care of, and a serial laser gate.
Renshiro is holding down here. Nade wants to go for an approach. DCH is there at least to either pick up the trade, pick up the pieces, or pick up the diffuser, but he doesn't need to do any of that as they've been able to find the opener here. Shaco on the backside gets a fantastic take against Nerix. Waits for the swing round. No point to answer the call because they're already well aware of where you are, and Nade's able to lock it in. It's just Brede on the back line in a 1 versus 2, but 10 seconds. That's in his favor. Whiffs the first few. Can't get the full connection. The second just holds him at bay, and they're going to see if they can stick it behind the chassis. Has to lean in. Creeps and crawls his way across. They're aware of that though, and Iana!
Crouch spam.
Crouch spamming their way in the door. A 3 apiece, an even half here for Elevate.
An even half indeed. They managed to bring it back from, I believe it was a 2v4 situation there. The crouch spam in the end really working out for DCH. That brings a 3-3. So far, even split. Still anyone's game. 1-1 in maps, 3-3 in rounds. He will take it. It's literally, I have no clue yet. But what we will see is now that round swap. And it could happen that one A team seems to be very good on one side of things. They're not as good on the other. And that might start to show now. Elevate will be on their defense, which is naturally favored in Siege on maps that are new. Of course, Chalet not really new anymore. And the meta is slowly starting to shift towards the attack. So whoever will be getting the upper hand, I dare to say, in these next 3 rounds has a very good opportunity of winning it in regulation.
Map 1 BDS or map 2 BDS? What do we get on map 3 BDS? That is what's about to be asked, because you pretty much almost couldn't have more difference in 2 halves from a team, or, well, the same half from the team across 2 different maps. Even. And it could either be a quick lockout and storm here of 4 rounds, or, well, I guess technically it could be the same, but just not into their pocket. We might get a bit of back and forth. It depends on Elevate if they can sort of set themselves up and try and hit that mantle and metal that otherwise has been a bit back and forth across the opening half of this.
For sure. It has been back and forth to some extent. I mean, Elevate picked up the very 2 first opening kills. Were able to work on the back of that as well. And after that, BDS has been able to get every single opening kill. Just unfortunate that they weren't able to lock off that last round. It was due to great gunplay, actually, on the side of Elevate. And yes, Shaika got an amazing shot, however, but they were ready on the side of Elevate to swing with 2, to just take the gunfight, and as one pushes through, the other one holds the angle, so you need to make a decision. What gunfight will I take? As Anagiri just pops up from the window, drops Renshiro as he wants to toss in a grenade, but BDS is going in quickly.
They're in the site, they're able to get a kill. Brede drives right past DCH. His whole job was to watch that potential rotation. Shaco's job is to put bullets in his head. There's one more over the cover, a 4 versus 2. Sapper goes for a wide swing and a post plant. He's rebacked in the position that was dropped from before. He knows it's multiple watched and gives his position away. Hey, BDS. Here's your map too, BDS.
At least for now.
At least for now.
Quick push there for them. They lost the eventual entry. Rinchiro tried to get a grenade into a place which would help for this execute to work out well, but after that, you know, they thought, all right, we get the entry, we can slow the game down, but BDS did the complete opposite. They just walk in from the balcony, went through the door, went in deep, get a kill, go for the plant, and Elevate suddenly not in the right position to deal with such aggression. That works once, however. That is not going to be working out twice, especially not in a row. Of course, we never know. BDS might try it again, and maybe they will completely overwhelm Elevate.
Well, if they try it again, they'd be in the wrong place, because the site is bar now.
Yeah, of course, but
they've moved over to a different site.
You might just all jump into the A window if no one is in pantry.
Hey, I mean, Frost's off the board. It gives them at least something to work behind. They have that ferocity, they have the ability to turn it on, and their attacks, as we said, can be their sharpest point. In a meta that drives itself on attacks, BDS generally have found a really good preference for it. And although they have players that are highlighted for the fantastic clutch capabilities that they offer, that's the thing about BDS at their best, for me, is when they're on an attack, because you will always write stories about what each of them can bring to an engagement, to a position, and to a setup themselves. The spread from Elevate here is all the way to the top of Pillar. They're still, if you've missed it, fighting for the 2 points for positioning more than anything. They still have the chance to pull themselves up. I don't know entirely, obviously, how the game's going on the other screen, but I know it's at least on the third map between the two NA teams. So TSM, they're trying to solidify themselves as top seed.
They definitely are, and they have the opportunity to, indeed, if they manage to get this next win, at least I believe, as the Yana Replicator is about to be sent in here. Shaiko knows one is close around the corner now. And we did see a way around it in one of the previous games we've seen. Just get a grenade, bounce it over the top, and you instantly get rid of Sapper in his current position. Doesn't seem, however, that currently BDS is looking to play for a way like this. So the pressure seems to be coming down from different ways. It's that the gunfight will just be taken and won by Shaiko. I mean, that's also a way to win.
It's also a way to do it.
I mean, you know, you got Shaiko on your team anyway. DCH takes a huge amount of damage as well, but manages to survive. However, the library is no longer under control of the side of Elevate.
Yeah, DCH entirely blinded there for a second, took a huge amount of damage, and Lems is going to see if he can finish the job, assuming he was the one that did most of it. There was some pressure and explosion, and DCH, he's going to see if he can just sneak his way back around and is able to get an escape, but still, that is a huge position that's now been pulled away from them. They're going to probably focus towards Nay on the opposite side and see if they can try and burn through the top of the stairs. As soon as they get the read that things have been moved away from them, well, they're able to move themselves in across the top and start their approach towards the site itself.
Seems to go for a bit of a double push there. 3D above on the window, Shaiko below on the same one. Snay actually working his way back to the top. Rafal, however, is close on the fireplace, I believe. No, actually, he's below. Lems is still outside of the window, however, but he's actively watching some of these drones, looking to potentially put up some pressure into Piano. So there's actually a way that Nay is going to be able to sneak in, as Shaiko is taking a very aggressive gunfight here, and Agiri takes a lot of damage. Nay just continues to stick right behind his shield. He wants to make sure that the top floor is not surrendered yet. Rafal on the way that he can actually shut them down if he moves back down. And with an Agiri dropping, it's now BDS that picks up a very important kill on Nay as well. It's a 2-on-4 situation, and DCH is on 10 HP still, as Nerex picks up the first kill on the side of Elevate.
Well, DCH is still massively injured, and now the game of surprise is taken away from him, and now he's all that's left. Shaiko gets one more, and Rafal connects the final kill. 5-3, 2 rounds threaded in a row. BDS stern-faced and pushing themselves through on this game so far, and there is that cleanliness to some of their approaches, that burn and burst of utility where things are reaching that symphony of destruction. Kitchen.
Seems like a tactical timeout will be called, presumably by the side of Elevate. Just a guess.
What gave it away?
The fact they lost 2 rounds in a row, and afterwards we saw the camera on Elevate coming on, and the coach putting his microphone down.
And the fact that we can see the live feed of the game and it got paused.
And that as well.
Which is why I know that it's going to Kitchen next
day. Of course,
day.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm just giving the audience every factor of everything of our omnipotence. It's attack pause. It is a moment for Elevate to talk, because this game does still have weight for them. And the way they opened up in that first map against BDS is the best that they've played. Obviously, the result was fantastic, a 7-2. They really couldn't have done a better performance on Club, which was BDS's map. It does raise that uncomfortable question of BDS going to Club was a risk because everybody knows Club. And it just takes the team with less pressure to get some momentum to suddenly find themselves ahead, and then it becomes a really uncomfortable environment, because when you have pressure on the line, mistakes happen. There's no two ways about that. And when those mistakes happen on a map that you're super familiar with and that everybody's super familiar with, you can sort of still work around them, and Club is that. Maps like Chalet, maps like Cafe that are more intrinsically, tactically driven, because they're still developing, for one thing. They're quite awkward for some teams to get the approach and the defense on is another.
Yeah, sure. And I think maps like Oregon and Club, everybody will know. It's just a basic of Siege. It's not like Hereford, you know, the first map you launch when you actually get Siege. You go into the simulations and...
You know, situations?
The situations, yeah. And you have to take out 11 of them. 11 of those NPCs.
I remember them well.
I know it's apparently a world record speedrun kind of thing for it. I don't know who holds it at this moment in time, but I think, I'm not quite sure, but I think one of the Aussie casters for a while tried to break it. Might have even held it for a while, because they always spawn at the same place. So it's literally just mechanics that come in, muscle memory to go through it as quickly as you possibly can. Either way, we are not going for a speed run of quickest best of 3 here. It's going to be impossible with the third map that is about to be coming up here. Either way, BDS is looking to go and lock in their third map of the tournament and their second one in this game, which would provide them with an extra point. 3 in total they would have, which is unfortunately for them the same that Dark Zero currently has, with a game left to be played still and having the head-to-head over BDS. So we're going to say it again, they have been eliminated, unfortunately, but they still play like there's something to win, and there is a game still to win. You do not want to go home from the 6th Invitational without winning at least one of your games, and that's not maps, that is matchups. BDS, they want to take it right here against Elevate, and when we were talking about it with the talent as well, we're like, alright, they should be able to take the win against Elevate. I mean, they had that time to get back together. If there's any moment they get a win, it will be now. But Elevate have put up a good fight, especially taking that first map. Completely unexpected for many, at least being quite close on this one.
Nay is going for a swing, potentially towards the hop in here on the west main side and take. But he's actually just going to pull out of there before it gets a little bit too dangerous. I think obviously the team talk said, well, let's give them some stretch and some space. We'll put some pressure early, but let's not throw ourselves into these engagements, because currently BDS are very good at closing them down. Alem's underneath them, and Shiro just on that trophy window is going to get the read on Onigiri, who's still slipping their way through. It's a little bit uncomfortable right now for the players of Elevate, because all the pressure's sort of coming in a bit flat. You have Brede on the far side, making sure he can open it, and then, well, the cross pressure that comes across West Main, hopped in and dropped down, potentially. There is the player underneath of Alems, who's just going to see if he can smash this open, swing round. Great take and move there from Napier, a grenade in hand. Goodbye. Goodbye. Shaiko blowing himself out, and the W kill isn't all those W's that you see across the board. It is probably the hands of the man that you saw actually take it.
Yeah, it was the injury, of course, that came in from Merrick's, but as the hand had a grenade, you know, in his hand, it dropped when the kill came through, and that is eventually what confirmed Shaiko his own death. 3-4 situation. BDS is a man down. It's not the end of the world. I mean, still plenty here to fight for. Drones are being positioned currently. Flashbangs will be tossed in to hopefully blind someone on the other end of things. And follow it up with a bit of an execute of the 2 remaining members of BDS. Smoke as well, enhanced by Rafal. Trying to block one of these lines aside potentially. Yeah, they have it, stopping anybody from the Solarium stairs to try and fight into his window. At the same time, Trophy is being held, but as Brede gets down, and suddenly Elevate have a 2-minute advantage right here as Rafal's trying to go into the site.
Renshiro gets one and brings it back a little bit more balanced, but 30 seconds marked, and well, a smoke canister forces Rafal into the gunfire of Sapper. Renshiro He is soon to follow. Elevate. They take their attack timeout and make use of it. 5-4. They're able to find their first defensive round at the same time that, in fairness, BDS found theirs at the other half. Obviously, they lost the first two, Snowmo and Bar, and then started to cook things in Kitchen, the same place. And let's see, I suppose, if Elevate can do one better than what BDS managed before, or if they can, I guess, keep it level and we find ourselves hurtling towards a perfectly even Chalet.
Could be the case, of course. We might find ourselves with a 3-3 and a 3-3 heading towards overtime to decide whether or not it will be Elevate that gets to get that extra point for seeding purposes, or if it will be BDS that ends their tournament run with a win. Don't know how happy they will be with it. I mean, they haven't been really loud in these round wins that they've had. Of course, they also know they kind of needed the full 3 points. And if you lose that first map, that is sort of out of question. Completely out of question. Which means maybe the lack of focus we've seen here and there, or at least the lack of hype on the one rounds. And even the one map, to some extent. Elevate, on the other hand, they did what they needed to do. They confirmed themselves. That was goal number 1 today. Goal number 2 is try and pick up as many points as possible, so they have the opportunity to fight for the top 2 seeding. Question here will be, will they be successful, or is BDS going to be nicking away those last 2 points? Because that's it. Are they going to steal them away? That's going to be their goal. That's what they want. BDS wants that win. They're playing for it. And Elevate, they need to show that they deserve them. Deserve those points. And I know we keep on repeating it, but that's literally all that's left for this game. It's literally a seeding one for Elevate and a goodbye for BDS.
That's it. It is all that it is, and it's all that's left. The steady approach comes. Quick movement there towards the possibility of pinching out Nay. They've realized that it's sort of abandoned up here. There is still some bursts of utility, but DCH is the man that's moving in on a bit of a mission here. He doesn't want to get entirely caught out. And Shiro is concerned about the chance of a swing around. Obviously, the barbs on the far side will slow him down, but it's Sapper that opens up against Shaiko, who tried to do the same take he did before, but this time wasn't quite able to get the swing onto the right place, the corner of Library. He was red. And now it's just got to see if Brede can try and get some revenge as that gate gets reclosed.
Tight angle being held here by Sapper. He took a lot of damage. DCA just coming up to provide some support as well on those staircases. Hey, actually off quite far inside that bedroom slash office, just playing around at a couple of members of Elevate on the site and below. It's going to be some Excaros that got shot, not quite sure where. Might have been to get rid of a Surya laser gate. Yeah, actually has been. And LMs now will take the spot of Shaiko to try and see if they can find Sapper, who already has fallen back, by the way. He went all the way up to the pantry, and as the Twitch drone will come through and send in one zap towards, I believe that was a piece of utility. It's now the second Aruni laser gate to be wasted here with 70 seconds left on that clock. BDS is looking and eyeing for a potential plant.
That's it, Alems. He goes through a hop through, and Onigiri actually gets caught out by Renshiro, who's still trying to get that barbed wire, but it's just out of reach and range, so can't quite get it. So goes with the conviction and convincing that, well, we've been able to get the top of fireplace. Theoretically, they're not going to swing for us. Alems wanted to knock down that shield for a second. It's just going to see if he can get anything on the hatch before he takes care of all the rest of the business and doesn't get caught out by anything that might catch it out. Nay, though, he could be a big strike here if he goes unchecked. Alems is forced back upstairs, but the pings are there. And Renshiro's there too. Takes the kill before Alems can even make it all the way. 35 seconds. There's a slow creep that's happening all the way down in the basement, which leaves only 2 players onto the site itself. That grenade just rolls a little bit too far away, or just rolls a little bit too short, but that one sure doesn't. Renshiro with a triple, Rafal with one more, suddenly just leaves DCH in and amongst the smoke. He has somehow got through. It's a blind knife fight. Nobody can see. There is at least a pickup, but a trade comes out. Map and series points for BDS.
There it is, it's the map and series point. A little bit of a talk with BIOS actually taking place. I'm wondering if that was a tactical timeout or if that is an issue being notified. Either way. BDS, 1 round to go, and they managed to get a series under their belts. Again, bittersweet. They needed the full 3 points here today, especially with Dark Zero picking up that first map. They needed to. TSM did not per se. They needed a point to be at the right place. And now, BDS. They fight for the win, they fight for the victory. And Elevate, they hope to go for a comeback here.
Okay, BDS, one more round to lock it out. And with how everything goes, at least it will be nice to have a win in the column. And at least you can leave with your heads held somewhat high from the performance that unfortunately came after everything else that had come before it. Bedroom might be where it locks out, and we were here before, and, well, you'd be surprised, or I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if you didn't remember it because of how quick it was. BDS absolutely stormed the balcony after a failed entrance. Were able to slip past the hole to start putting the diffuser with the cover already in place. Suddenly, all the Elevate players had to try and retake, and couldn't. They were entirely locked out by the gun skill and crossfire that was otherwise well coordinated.
So real coordinated indeed. Of course, the early kill went Elevate's way, but quickly the push that came in right after, and instantly the plant that came through as well. They needed that pace, and they took it with Storm. Something they, if they want to go for it again, need to have well coordinated, because surely there's going to be someone around the corner just waiting for a push like that to happen, or at least in a position to counter it. And that might be Nay. Napew is playing below currently in the bedroom, no, not bedroom, the kitchen area. He's walking around with a pistol, so that might be the FO12 shotgun in hand for him. He rotates all the way back up. I think those close angles might be, what is that? No, actually, the Scorpion have been proven wrong. Thought he might have been trying to go for a blow and try and stop any plants from happening. Instead, he will be just playing close on the breach with a Scorpion. High rate of fire. Easy to get these kills with, and Nerix will start it off for Elevate.
Renshiro is going to see if he can bounce some pressure around, and Nay unfortunately misthrows the Grismot. Can't quite get it all the way out to try and stem any of this approach. Instead, pops it onto the door of that balcony walk-in. Brede, he's popping himself open some angles here. He's going to see if he can get the coordination, as Nay is going to try and dig himself in close just behind it. Takes a shoulder of damage on the explosion, just those other-sided X-Kairos pellets, but he's just going to hope that nobody knows he's there. And Shiro, though, he's a little bit of concern to be paid. And to be fair, we've had a lot of surprise strikes from that exact position. They're right behind you, Nay, and now you've revealed yourself. Popped up, dropped one, dropped back. Renshiro crosses it over from the balcony outside, keeping a keen eye towards it as the drone works its way across. Spots the Maestro bubble just to the top of the left. They're not going to be able to slip and slink their way in as they did before, but on Agiri, well, he shuts the door before they even get close. A huge fight all the way from the back line. Alems gives himself a little bit of a pickup as Brede wants to see if he can slip behind that half wall.
Flashbangs are coming out, the ADS will be popped. The plant is attempted here, but Alems needs to bring the perfect cover. It's actually a little bit of a bait to come through as well, and as DCH gives away his position as Brede that picks up an extra kill. BDS might still be in it right here. A grenade will be tossed in deep and potentially will find its target. No, the ADS has just recharged. Well, my discs are being pushed in as well, and as the ADSs and the discs are being taken out, Brede again attempts to go for a plant. Is there going to be any aggression from the side of Elevate? The smoke will be pushed in. It's only up to Brede now, and a 1v3 situation is going to be able to clutch this out, and Nagiri goes on the outside. He will be getting the call now, but it's just in time. Back on the back of it. He gets the first kill, but Nerix will be able to lock it off, and that means that it will be his triple kill, but also a round for Elevate, who managed to get the diffuser back disabled, or counter disabled, and win the round and pushes all the way over to 12.
6-5. After a 7-2 and a 7-3, we find ourselves at a 6-5 with the potential to go to OT to end a series that, well, it's been back and forth in a major way. And then a little bit more of a minor key here. The whole song was sad based on the other stuff around the music, but everything has to come to an end at some point. Kitchen is where we might find it happening here, or we might find ourselves, as I said, pushing into OT. BDS have one more opportunity here, and this one was last one and only one by Elevate on their defense so far.
I have to say, though, that was partially due to the great hold in the West Main, where Shaiko was cooking a grenade from the inside instead of from the safety of the outside of the window. Got himself picked up as a result of it. That's 2 kills. They went into the way of Elevate, and that is something they need to make sure that doesn't happen again. BDS is just a singular round away from winning a 3rd map in the tournament here. Unfortunately, will not be enough under any of the given circumstances. There is no magical ties that can get them out of this situation here. It is end of story. It's just how the end of the story will be written. Is it with a win or a loss against Elevate? As the setup is being made, there is going to be some of them up onto that top floor, some extension into the billiards as well. Other holes being created actually for rotations, lines of sights, being able to toss utility through from the defender's point of view. And that will allow them to potentially hold on well, because we never really saw the attack being mounted by the side of BDS. It was always a very quick shutdown to come through, and as the first grenade lands from Shaiko, it's no one that gets picked up. A drone will be sent right after to try and figure out where these players are actually at. A second one thrown into the west main area, but will not find success. DCH playing here and around. It's actually Yanagiri that picks up the very first kill. He's low on HP, but he finds Renchiro, and it's going to be a very important pickup. It's the sledge gone. No more verticality they can play with. And also grenades less, but Shaiko will actually confirm the kill through the drone.
Shaiko's able to get that revenge there, and, well, there's Eric's trying to do everything to stop them getting a straight way in. They're going to play themselves all the way to the back line. Takes the gun 6 to remove nothing, unfortunately. It's caught out, and there it is, yeah, actually. The disc was the catch, the grenade was the attempt, but the player had actually already moved off the point. Instead, he was swinging down from the bottom of Solarium stairs. Instead, Alems, he's crept his way up from underneath main, and the drone is just going to work its way across first to see if it can take out anything else.
No one is in the close corner. There is suspicions about a player being on the back stairs. Solarium stairs, that is, and that is something they will have to deal with. DCH still in a position where he's on a prime area to go for a flank, especially if Bride wants to push in from an area around the fireplace. As Mute Jammer does get taken out, it's Ney as well to lose his life. Lems picks up yet another, but it might not be enough. It's a 4-on-3 situation, but with DCH in the position that he's currently at, he has the opportunity to win the gunfight from Bride and stop the breach from happening. Luckily, he doesn't carry the diffuser, but it still will bring it back to a 3-on-3 situation. And as Lems right here spots out ahead, but is unable to land the kill onto Nerex, he heals himself back up to full as DCH is on the hunt. Lems on the flank watch as he heard something. Side Tracer pop through, but that'll only give away the suspicion that someone was still off the site. That's one offside. That means it's a 4-on-2 if you hit the site directly, and that's exactly what they try and push for at this given moment here. DCH now back, low on HP. Shaiko picks up a kill. It's another one to come through from Sapper, and that leaves us in that 3v2, still counting down 40 seconds as a kill comes in from Bride in the back from the breach. It's Sapper to save Elevate now. If they want to go to OT, he has to gun for it. It's the Alva, but he's not going to be able to land the first. It's Bride that will secure BDS their first and only victory in the 6th Invitational as they win from Elevate with 2-1.
It's been a long, unfortunate, winding and clouded and upsetting road for BDS and BDS fans alike. Things have happened outside of their control or anything else, and we just had to sort of sit and watch. They find a bit of bittersweetness to the end and a cloud with a little bit of a silver lining. Elevate, congratulations. You have made it through to the next step and have one more game ahead of you. BDS, commiserations. Success today, and I'm sure much more in your future, but I am sure it's still a very bitter end, unfortunately.
It is a bitter end indeed. They did not want their tournament to go down this way, and even though they went into this game with their head held high, they knew there was an opportunity to make it out. That quickly crumbled as they lost their first game. At least they stayed in it. At least they wanted to at least end it with a victory. And even though you might not proceed in the 6th Invitational, we would like to welcome you back, of course, to the European League.
Oh, it's always home with us. But for now, that's all for us. We are going to throw it to a quick break before we're back with the analysts to break down that series.